YouTube says it has had enough of vaccine misinformation on its site.
And false stories from phony sites to run circles around major news outlets.
Many people don't know the difference between something real and something created to deceive them.
Open your eyes.
If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. The 2026 Winter Olympics has taken place, and the opening ceremony, of course, shouldn't surprise anyone. We constantly, every single year, can guarantee when we see the Olympics, or we see the Grammys, or we see the Oscars, or we see the MTV Video Music Awards, or the Super Bowl halftime show, which will be filled with it as well, that we will see a massive satanic ritual take place. Of course, some people like to laugh it off. They like to dismiss these things and say that we're all paranoid Christian conspiracy theorists, right? But we've been proven right time and time again. And unfortunately, we're now living among this MAGA hysteria, this manufactured Christian nationalist movement, which is coming to you directly from the Central Intelligence Agency, which has made people doubt the truth in plain sight even more than ever before, because they are in such a deep psychosis that they cannot stand anybody who votes differently than they do. But the joke's really on them, because their vote doesn't actually count. But as you can see on the screen, it does not take Nostradamus to tell you or to show you that this is a satanic ritual. You can see inside of what appears to be the Arch of Baal. You can see that upside down pentagram and the flames coming up all around. But of course, people like to dismiss these things because either the truth is too hard for them to swallow, or of course, they refuse to see the obvious signs and symbols that surround them on a day in, day out basis. So take a look inside of this arch. You can see, again, remember the Arch of Baal, which once again is being rolled out. In fact, being erected in the United States of America, that monumental Arch of Palmyra. Okay, that's the Temple of Baal. The arch was part of the sanctuary complex, which has been dedicated to their god Baal. And just like we see obelisks all around us, you know, the Washington Monument, for example, which happens to be 555.5 feet tall, which also happens to be 6,666 inches. And of course, coincidentally as well, happens to be 55.5 feet wide. The obelisk represents Baal's shaft, which is why we constantly see obelisks erected all around the world. The same with these archways that you'll see in New York and in Paris. And of course, Mr. Christian himself, right? The guy playing the role who's duping people like we've never seen duped before, happens to be erecting one right in the middle of Babylon itself, right in the middle of Washington, D.C. So you have this obvious opening ceremony, right? And how many times have we seen the Olympic ceremonies revealing the truth in front of our faces? Because that's what they do. They use these events as mass rituals. Most people out there should already know that the Olympics are satanic. It shouldn't be some type of, oh my goodness, they're not hiding anymore. Well, the Olympic Games themselves are pagan, and the true origins of the Olympics have nothing to do with some athletes competing against one another playing basketball. These are satanic rituals and ceremonies that they use to celebrate their father, their God. Remember last year we saw the decapitated head. I mean, these things that conjure in your mind the spirit of sports and athleticism, right? Decapitated heads, or just in the past, of course, seeing the phoenix rising out of the ashes. We even had this visual, which of course they did by design to work Christians into a hysterics last year, where, you know, just taking a look at the trans Last Supper should be enough to give anybody at home instant diabetes. When you take a look at some of these ghouls, but of course, they did that by design to piss people off and continue to divide people and do things like that to make Christians feel like they're being attacked. We saw the Lucifer coming down from the sky last year, right? The gold depiction of Lucifer, and even them recreating the Tower of Babel with Lucifer himself at the tippy top of that tower. And again, those videos are available on the website for anybody out there that wants to go through all of my archived content. We even saw, of course, behold the pale horse, which just randomly rode out at the end of the ceremony last year. And again, it's important for people to understand because people all of a sudden think that they're seeing this stuff ramped up, this satanic activity around us. You could go back to the 70s and you could look at bands like, Ozzy Osbourne, who's doing all of this satanic stuff, writing songs about Aleister Crowley, the Beatles having Aleister Crowley, who is a known occultist, whose teachings talk about making blood sacrifice with young boys. And that's where they get their teachings from, the man who called himself the Beast 666. So people shouldn't be looking around. They shouldn't be going, I can't believe it. That is the Arch of Baal. Okay. You could clearly see the pentagram, the goat of Mendes in the center. It's not being hidden. Donald Trump is building it out in America, but most of these people refuse to believe it. And I mean, when you look at the origins of the Olympics, it goes back to Zeus, okay? It goes back to Zeus. It's a pagan ceremony in ancient Greece that was held for Zeus, the Greek name for Baal Hadad. And it's through these types of ceremonies that we've become such a normalized society to these pagan traditions. We could go and we could debate day and night about the origins of Christmas, right? And Saturnalia. And you think it's a coincidence that they use Saturn's rings as the logo for the Olympic Games? I mean, it's all right there for people to see. In fact, they even talked a couple of years ago about Zeus and Baal and this bronze bull that was discovered in Greece. And it served as a sacrificial offering to the god Zeus. And we know, of course, when it comes to Baal, what sacrifice they're really referencing, right? They're referencing human sacrifice. Throughout the Bible, we are taught about Baal worship and sacrifice and the children being sacrificed to Baal, the Canaanite god Baal. So what else did we get while we had the opening ceremony? Because, of course, we'll have something at the closing ceremony. We get some of the ridiculous stuff that people believe is artistic around the Olympics, which is just cringy. I mean, some of the stuff that they do in these ceremonies, it's so embarrassing to see what humanity is and what they're doing in the name of art. But we look around us every day and we see the behavior that's exhibited by the people that we live among. And these ridiculous things that they do, they consider artistic expression. But we got Mariah Carey there, lip singing. That was one of the big stories. Not that any of us actually care, because all of these people lip sync. But it's important to note, these people who were brought into the Olympics from the United States of America, because they're all in the same club, and they reveal themselves to you through signs and symbols, right? Mariah Carey. Oh, everybody loves Mariah Carey, right? Because they love that ridiculous Christmas song that Mariah Carey has that they put on 9 trillion times a week starting in November, right? But here's Mariah doing the All-Seeing Eye of the Rolling Stone magazine, doing it in other magazines, Marie Claire magazine. This is one of the subtle ways that they do it. They put their hair over their eye. And you might say, well, that's a bit of a stretch, It's just her hair over eye, right? She's got butterflies, Butterfly again, another one of these singers that openly admits to being under MK Ultra mind control programming, right? Another one of these celebrities who has blood on their hands. Okay, Mariah Carey came out of her coffin during COVID, held up the 666 hand sign on Good Morning America to do what? To get people to partake in a mass genocide ritual, which is what these celebrities do. This is how they keep their fame and how they keep their fortune. They do what their handlers tell them to do. So no shame going on television and telling everybody out there, hey, go and poison yourself. This is the right thing to do. If we tell you the right thing to do is dump some graphene oxide in your bloodstream and kill yourself and then guilt your parents and guilt your friends about it, go and do it. As they hold up the 666 hand sign. And if that's not enough for you, I covered this as well. Mariah Carey's sister came out, and she's no longer alive, but she came out and talked about their mother and sexual abuse and how they were brought at a very young age to satanic pedophile cults that they partook in. But of course, nobody believes the sister because they see Mariah Carey and they think of her ridiculous Christmas song. They go, oh, she's great, Mariah Carey. She's never done anything wrong in the public eye. And then they see her sister, who's gone through the woodwork, who doesn't, looks beat up. And they say, oh, she looks like a crack addict, so we're not going to take her at her word. Yeah, because everybody's sister or brother or family member comes out and says, hey, you know what? We were part of a satanic pedophile cult, right? It's just amazing how all these people are connected to these things that I constantly expose, right? Like putting their hand over their eyes and doing all the same signs and symbols that all the members of the club do. And speaking of which, Charlize Theron brought its penis on stage to talk about Nelson Mandela. No surprise they weren't talking about the Mandela effect, or were they? But here's another person has to come out. Because remember, folks, these are the people who keep everybody divided. All the shenanigans that you see at the award shows, this is all done by design. The Democrats come out, oh my gosh, the Trump and the MAGA, the hate, right? Then the other side's like, these people are insane. They want illegals to come into the country and murder white people. And they go back and forth. And these are the people responsible for the division. These are the people fully responsible. This is what social influencers do. And they're social engineers. They engineer behavior, which is why they all hang out together. They all go to the same galas together, all on the BlackRock payroll, right? And here she is doing the all-seeing eye over and over and over again, and has to go there and give a speech about Nelson Mandela and peace and all this other stuff to get everybody all riled up. Even dragged Usher out. Shocked that they're even bringing this guy around. I've exposed him about 1 trillion times. Here he's doing peekaboo with his eye, just like Charlize, just like Mariah Carey. These are just a couple of the celebrities who you would sit there and you go, what are they doing there? What do they have to do with anything? Right? What do they have to do with anything going on if this is supposed to be about, it's supposed to be about athleticism and all that stuff. Usher, athleticism, the guy looks like a string bean. Right? And we all know Usher, what he's been involved in Hollywood, just like all of them. They're all pedophiles. They've all been abused. They all do the abusing. It's pretty clear Usher was passed around just like Justin Bieber. Everybody should already know that. But they roll him out as well. And he's, of course, doing the all-seeing eye symbolism. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Olympics are always going to be a satanic pagan event. I'm sorry, it's not about Muhammad Ali running down the road with a torch. Even all the stuff involving that I've exposed in the past with the lighting ceremony of the torch. This is all pagan. And in a sense, right, what's paganism really? It's satanic worship that they've normalized by saying, well, it's not really satanic, it's pagan. Oh, Saturnalia is not really pagan, it's Christmas, right? And they get you to worship Nimrod, then they get your kids to worship Nimrod. Then people at home are watching these things, and they're just going, oh, they're just doing it because they want to rile people like a call for an uprising on YouTube who is completely irrelevant. Yeah, they just want to do it. They love to troll these guys. They believe it in their mind that they do these events to troll people like us. They show you who they are. They show you who they worship. No different than Christians who profess Christ tell you who they worship, even though a lot of them are under severe mind control because they're under such hypnotism that they think that Donald Trump and white nationalism and being a Republican has something to do with God and Jesus Christ. I didn't see any chapters in the Bible about patriotism. The only thing I saw that resembled America at all in the Bible was talk about Mystery Babylon. So we can see Babylon all around us, and it's beginning to crumble. So we have the Arch of Baal. We have a giant pentagram upside down. I mean, would you be surprised if Lucifer himself rose out of the ground at one of these events just to get people mad? I mean, when they did with the Last Supper, it was so ridiculous and over the top. I mean, it was hard not to even laugh at it, let alone be angry, because it's so ridiculous, because you know how they're trying to work all of us. If you're awake and you're aware of what their psychological games are, then you shouldn't let them make you angry. The depiction of, the Last Supper, it's a depiction, right? Of course it means it's, dear to Christians who follow Jesus Christ, but them doing that, they sat there and they said, oh yeah, we're going to work these people. And did they? Oh yeah. And they did it again with this, and they'll continue to do it. And they want to lump you into the left-right paradigm because that's what we're headed towards. They want you to say, look, everybody who's a Christian has to be MAGA. Everybody who's a Christian has to be a voting Republican. And if you're not one of them, then you are the enemy. That's all we've heard the last couple of years. Oh, the Democrats are the enemy. They're the new terrorists, back and forth. It's unbelievable. Then they bring these celebrities that have nothing to do with the Olympics, like Charlize Theron, so they could go there and work the audience and go on national TV with the large ratings and talk about hate in the world and we need love and let's bring out the Antichrist already. I mean, give me an utter break. And then you see the connection to all these people to Satanism, the all-seeing eye constantly. Every one of these celebrities, I mean, how many of it covered? Think about every celebrity, okay? I get pulled things out of my memory here where I could say, okay, well, Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga's a saint. Oh, yeah, well, how many people out there know that Lady Gaga was caught in her hotel room in the UK filling it with blood, and she was bathing in blood? And you'd think maybe people would say, oh, maybe she really is a devil worshiper. Or how many people know about Mariah Carey's sister saying they were in a satanic pedophile cult? Nobody does. Then you just go, wow, all these people have this connection to that. It's not some coincidence. And they're all holding their hand up over their eye. Then they're all holding up a 666 sign, right? Then they're all buddies out in Hollywood together. They pretend to be enemies. And then you see pictures of them all together, like Trump and Obama and everyone else. They are working everybody. But folks, just another day at the Olympics and people are angry about it. Remember, these are all pagan ceremonies. This is a ceremony for Zeus, but let's just call him who he really is, Baal. I thank everybody for being here. I hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families as always.